There is a moment between two people where the air feels heavier, but neither of you breathes a word. And if you're feeling that weight with her, it's not in your imagination. There's a type of connection that sneaks up on a man. Quiet, electric, almost dangerous. You don't talk about it. She doesn't talk about it, but it sits between you both like a truth waiting for someone brave enough to touch it. And if you felt that tension, that pull, that unspoken gravity with a woman, then listen closely because most men misunderstand what's happening and they walk away from something that was never just casual. And she walks away thinking, you never saw her. What I'm about to tell you is something women rarely admit out loud, not because we can't, but because we're terrified of being the one who says it first. You think you're hiding your feelings well, don't you? But she sees more than you think. Women don't fall for words, they fall for patterns. And when a man begins showing these subtle shifts, the ones you think no one can notice, that's when a woman realizes the truth you're refusing to speak. What men don't understand is this. When two people quietly want each other, the energy becomes almost physical. It shows up in the way you talk, pause, look, pull back, and then come closer without meaning to. It's a psychological loop, and once you're both in it, pretending becomes exhausting. So let's talk about the first psychological sign that both of you feel something. Even if neither of you will admit it, your conversations become deeper than the relationship itself. When a woman has no feelings, she keeps things light, predictable, surface level, but when she's trying to protect her heart, she goes deep in the safest possible way, emotionally intimate, without admitting anything. She asks you things other women never bother to ask. She remembers details she shouldn't care about. She listens to your fears with a softness that doesn't match the title of whatever you two are. Pay attention. Emotional depth is rarely an accident. It is the subconscious building a bridge neither of you are ready to cross. And here's what you don't realize. Men reveal their feelings the same way. You open up to her in ways you don't even recognize as emotional vulnerability. You tell her things you told yourself you'd keep inside. You feel strangely comfortable around her. You feel seen, almost too seen. It scares you, and it scares her too. That's why neither of you says anything, because the moment someone admits the truth, something changes forever. And deep down, both of you know it. Before I move to the next section, tell me this. Have you ever felt this unspoken bond with someone like the connection was louder than the words? Comment your answer below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. There's a moment in every almost relationship where the energy shifts quietly but unmistakably. You start noticing things about her you were never supposed to notice. She starts reacting to things you weren't supposed to influence, and both of you pretend nothing is happening, even though everything is happening. This is where the second psychological sign shows itself, and most men miss it completely. Sign number 2. Your presence affects her behavior more than she wants it to. A woman who feels nothing stays emotionally stable around you, calm, collected, consistent, but a woman who is trying to hide her feelings becomes subtly unpredictable. One day she's warm, playful, glowing in your direction, and the next day she's guarded, distant, almost like she's trying to put herself back together. It's not mood swings, it's emotional defense. She's regulating her heart in real time, because when you walk into the room, her emotional system reacts before her mind can stop it. Watch her body language. Women communicate interest through microsignals, especially when they're trying not to confess anything. She becomes hyper-aware of herself around you, fixing her hair, adjusting her clothes, sitting up straighter, pretending she's not watching you while watching you. There's a softness in her eyes in the moments she thinks you're not looking, and the instant she realizes you saw it, she looks away like she's hiding something fragile. Now, here's the part most men never realize. You affect her nervous system. A woman with hidden feelings will mirror you without realizing it. If you lean in, she leans in. If you speak quietly, she softens her tone. If you act distant, she pulls back too, but not because she wants to. She's protecting herself from wanting more. This mirroring is psychological proof of emotional synchronization, something that only occurs when two people feel a deeper attraction they're too afraid to name. But here's the hard truth for you. You're doing the same thing. You tell yourself you're just being polite or friendly or respectful, but your voice changes around her. Your posture shifts. You find yourself looking at her longer than you should. You feel more alive when she's near, and you feel strangely empty when she's not. And even if you never say a word, she senses it. Women are trained from a young age to read emotional cues, especially from men. She knows when you're pretending. She knows when something inside you is trying to stay hidden. And the reason she doesn't call you out is because she's hiding the same truth. So when two people affect each other this deeply, the tension builds. The attraction becomes a quiet storm, powerful but silent, a connection both of you feel, but neither of you dares to touch. And that's exactly why it feels so intense. No one is allowed to break the spell. Before I continue to the next section, tell me honestly, has a woman's behavior ever changed the moment you walked in, even though she tried to act normal? If yes, drop a comment and make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs this clarity. There is a point between two people where silence becomes louder than conversation, where every glance feels like a question neither of you are brave enough to answer. And that's where the third psychological sign appears, the one that reveals everything you're both trying to hide. Sign number 3. You both create excuses to stay in each other's lives, even when you pretend they're accidental. This is one of the strongest, most undeniable signs of mutual hidden feelings. When two people don't care, communication becomes practical, predictable, transactional. But when feelings are quietly growing, your interactions suddenly become intentional. You don't call it interest. You don't call it attraction. You call it checking in, staying in touch, just seeing how you're doing. But the truth, you're both maintaining a connection you're afraid to lose. Think about it. Why does she reach out about something small she could have figured out herself? Why does she ask for your opinion on things that don't require your opinion? Why does she send a meme, a random question, a story from her day that didn't need to be shared? Because emotionally, she wants to keep the door open without being the one who pushes it wide. She wants to see if you'll respond with the same softness she feels. She wants proof that she's not alone in this. And you do the same. You message her when she crosses your mind. You think of her when something reminds you of her. You linger in conversations longer than necessary. You find ways to keep them going. You ask questions that dig a little deeper. You check on her on days you don't need to. You're holding onto a connection that feels too meaningful to risk losing, but you disguise it as casual because admitting the truth feels like stepping off a cliff. This back and forth isn't random. It's psychology. Humans don't maintain emotional ties without emotional motivation. When two people consistently find their way back to each other through jokes, updates, late-night conversations, or just checking messages, it means the bond has already formed. You don't chase someone's presence unless their absence bothers you. But here's the part you may not realize. The fear of losing the connection is stronger than the fear of speaking about it. That's why neither of you pulls back completely. You may take space for a day, 2 days, but you always return. She does too, because somewhere inside both of you, there's a quiet hope that the other person feels the same way. Hope is the strongest emotional glue humans have. And when two people share the same hope, they orbit each other, even in silence. This is why you can't let go. This is why she still shows up. This is why the connection feels alive even when unspoken. And deep down, you know it. Before we go into the final section, tell me this. Have you ever kept someone in your life through little excuses, even though your feelings were anything but little? Comment your answer and make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs this truth. There is one psychological sign that's more powerful than all the others. It's the moment when the truth becomes impossible to hide, not because either of you says it, but because the connection refuses to stay quiet. It shows up in the space between you, in the pauses, in the way your energy shifts when you're near each other. And this final sign is the one people feel the deepest, but fear the most. Sign number 4, you both feel the tension of something unstarted and it refuses to go away. This is not simple attraction. This is not infatuation. This is that rare emotional pressure that builds between two people who care far more than they're willing to confess. You feel it in the way your conversations linger just a little too long. You feel it in the way you hesitate before saying goodbye. You feel it in the way your chest gets tight when she smiles at you. That mix of comfort and longing, familiarity and desire, closeness and distance. It's the emotional limbo that forms when two people want each other, but fear losing what they already have. And here's what almost no man understands. When a woman has feelings she won't admit, she becomes emotionally cautious but physically present. She stays near but not too close. She looks at you but looks away quickly. She lets the moment stretch just enough for you to feel it, then pulls back before anything can happen. It's not rejection, it's self-control. She's protecting her heart from the pain of wanting something she isn't sure she can have. And you're doing the same thing. You hold back words you desperately want to say. You avoid making a move because you're terrified of ruining the connection that already means more to you than you admit. You tell yourself you're being patient, respectful, cautious, but deep down, you're scared. Scared she doesn't feel it too. Scared you're imagining it. Scared of misreading her signals. So you wait and she waits. And the connection grows heavier, tighter, harder to hide. This unspoken bond creates a psychological tension that is unmistakable. When you're around each other, the world feels sharper. When you're apart, something feels missing. You replay conversations in your head. You think about what you should have said. You wonder what she's thinking when she goes quiet. You notice her absence in places she used to fill emotionally, even if she was never yours. This is not casual. This is not random. This is two hearts trying to stay logical while their emotions are already intertwined. And here is the truth you already know, but have never said out loud. If either one of you ever confessed what you really feel, everything would change instantly. That's why the tension exists. That's why the silence matters. That's why the bond feels so alive, because both of you are holding on to the same truth while pretending not to. Now, let me ask you something personal, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Is there someone in your life right now that you feel this unspoken connection with, but you're both too afraid to acknowledge it? Tell me in the comments. And if this video hit you hard, like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear what you just heard.